We've made our way across this glorious country to finally arrive at what many would call the most popular of the maritime provinces. When many think of the Maritimes in Canada, they often think of Nova Scotia. And why's that? Well, let's go through the list. Peggy's Cove, Halifax Harbor, Lunenburg, Annapolis Valley, Digby, Cape Breton Island, the Cabot Trail. It goes on. And if you're a history buff, this is the place for you. Much of the historical formation of our nations in North America were heavily influenced by what happened in this province. The Battle of Louisbourg, the outcome of the 7-year war between Britain and France, was largely determined right here. The Acadian expulsion that led to the formation of a French enclave in the United States, the Cajuns, came from right here, the l'Acadie. If you want to know a lot about your history, if you want to see a province full to the brim with iconic landmarks,
this is all right here in Nova Scotia waiting for us. But can we get there? Is it an easy province to get around and see all these epic places? Let's go find out together and go get trucked up in Nova Scotia.
The wind has not let up. It's blustery and it's bitterly cold. From here, we're going to be heading to the Annapolis Valley, the warm zone. I'm sure hoping it warms up. We're going to stop in first at a place called Masstown. This is the only place that I've got a DC fast charger between entering Nova Scotia and getting to the Annapolis Valley. So let's hope they're working. I see one flow charger. Usually flow is incredibly reliable. It's telling me to charge my vehicle to 55%. I'm at 50. So all looks good. There is an association to give Nova Scotia Power some credit. Oh, hold on a second. An Emera company. So the province no longer owns its power grid. I can see the ocean ahead. I'd love to show you. The problem is the temperature fluctuation in this insane wind. I'm putting the GoPro in places so I can see if the suction release is starting to come loose. It's starting to come loose. I do apologize if the sound is a little off. I'm having to use the noise cancellation filter thingy thing that's on the thingy thing. I press the thing and then it does the thing. Because the wind is just so strong and noisy, it's clipping my audio. I have experience with Nova Scotia. Back before the invention of the fax machine, I cycled across this province with my daughter, who wasn't even 3 years old yet, in a bicycle trailer. And we learned something very important, and it doesn't seem to have changed. That is, you might not be able to find food or gas, but you can get your hair cut and drink Tim Hortons coffee. I remember jumping on an open bus tour in Halifax Harbor, and the guide making a little joke saying, and off to the right, one of 3 million Tim Hortons locations. The population of Nova Scotia, I don't believe, is much higher than New Brunswick. I think we're under 1 million people. I don't even know how they run them. How could they have staff? We're circumventing the city of Truro for a reason. Number one, the city of Truro has one DC fast charger. Currently it's showing out of service, and the calculation with the wind and the cold suggested 55%. I charged to 59%, and I only have 41 kilometers of gap between being empty and arriving at the DC fast charger. That's unacceptable, Ford. Just add the freaking cushion. Don't tell people to charge up to 55%. Tell them to charge to 60. You're building in range anxiety into your vehicles. Hello, Ford.
Hello? Jim, finally remember your lightning trip? Can you hear me, buddy?
Why? Cushion, unforeseen events, needing to pee, having to divert because of a flat tire, to hit a deer. You're always wrong. So add in 5%. Okay, Ford, your system will be better. People won't want to punch you in the nuts. Bad news number, what are we at now? 3, 4, 3? The DC fast charger that I have to go to, brought to you by the Enema company. I think that's what it was, wasn't it? Was it Enema? I could have got that wrong. They're nowhere to be found. I'm going to a Nissan dealership. Thank you, dealerships. I never thought I'd say that. There's been so many times my ass has been saved by a dealership. In Manitoba, it was Dean Cooley GM, I believe. I still remember because it saved me so much angst. Bad news is sometimes dealerships, it's Sunday, they'll be closed. The question is, did they turn them off when they weren't there? We're going to find out. I laid out my entire itinerary. I'm driving along, suddenly, ding, my route changes. It decides, we found a faster way for you to get there via Halifax. So we're going to drive you right down to the southern end, and then you're going to come back because it saves you time. Boom, changes it. And then suddenly all my little things start going off. Then it says, you don't have enough range. You can't make it. You just changed my route. So then it gives me another charger to get on this faster route that I didn't need before. Now I need this new charger for the faster route. And you want to know something? It works out to be 1 hour and 10 minutes freaking longer. I'm fine. Okay. I like to take the scenic roads because highways are boring. So you got to take all these twisty, turny, fun roads because that's how you see a place. You don't go where everyone else goes. You go where nobody else goes. That way you get to experience what it's like to be in that province. Yeah, and that's probably why I have the problems that I do. But they're not stupid things. They're adventurous. They're stupid. There's a button on the main screen that says Android Auto. You push it, and it says, go to your phone list in the vehicle menu. How about you just go to Android Auto? These are all new buttons, by the way. New, useless, stupid buttons. So now I'm back in vehicle under phone list. Like, what? And then I go into my Galaxy S23 Ultra, and then I choose the Android Auto button that they have in the main menu, and doesn't go to Android Auto. It sends you back to vehicle to go back through the process to get to Android Auto that's inside the phone list that isn't in phone if you hit the phone button. I'm serious. You got to go to the vehicle button. What the So I'm going to need to visit my doctor. I'm going to do some work with my blood pressure. I think what might be considered to help relieve stress is they're going to do a frontal lobotomy. It says our arrival is in 1 hour and 2 minutes, which puts me at 2:10 p.m. 1 hour behind schedule, and I still haven't had lunch. I have found the first Tesla supercharger. Ford didn't find it at all. And then once I switched over to Google, Google found it, and it said, not compatible with your vehicle, but it's at level 3. The good news is it's 6 kilometers closer than the other charger. So I'm going to take my chance and go to the Tesla supercharger first. You know, with a gas station, you drive down the road and look for the gas station sign, but there's no signs because these are all lease rental spots. Like right here, XDR, they're gas. You have to use all of their geeky, techie apps, but it's so easy. All you have to do is, that's their answer to everything. All you have to do is go into the other app, and then you go in the portal, and then you go in the thing, and then you press the button, and then the blue thing comes up, and then you press the blue thing. It's right there. 50% of Canada has no cell signal. I think they need to go on field trips. Today we're going to go visit the museum. I think we need to put them all in a van. No, yeah, you can take away your apps. You know, when you did your math test in grade 3 and they wouldn't let you have a calculator. So show me where they are. Give me my phone, give me my phone, give me my phone, give me my phone, give me my phone. Send them back home with homework. And lesson 1 will be understanding gas stations. This is how a gas station is made. Now, I want you to think about your EV charging stations. And your homework assignment is do it like the other places have done it for 100 years. Did you understand, boys and girls?
It seems I'm a little out of luck. Just like these, but they're not even turned on. These have just been installed. That's not going to help us, but it looks like some infrastructure is starting to happen. That's a good step. We're going to go try to find this car dealership and see if I can fill up because I don't have a lot of room left.
If this charger is non-operational, I have no means of charging this vehicle. I might be able to find a level 2 somewhere. This is bad. Because it's Sunday, it shows the dealership is closed. And some of these dealerships, for security reasons, will block the entrance. The good news is that is a very important juncture back there. 2 major highways pass where those chargers were located. Just that one location with multiple chargers available will make a massive difference to this entire area. The dealership's not blocked off. That's a good sign. I see chargers. Wasn't that a pile of stress? The good news is in 2 weeks' time, the problem's solved.
We are charging at 51.3 kilowatt for speed. I'm going to be here a little while.
I'm going to do something unlike Ford. I'm going to give myself a cushion. I've noticed as the day progresses, all of these things are going gray because they're all in use. And suddenly there's none available down the whole coastline. That's an indication that there's nowhere near enough for what's being sold. There is a Chevy dealership. These guys are pretty good at putting something in. They do. They've got a charge point, and it doesn't show up on any map. So guess what I'm going back to? This is how ridiculous this is going to be, folks. Probably want to sell a lot of what every other Chevy dealership is selling a lot of right now. Chevy Blazers and Chevy Equinox EVs, and this guy's got a whole bunch of them on his lot. He's creating an opportunity for them, because if he doesn't, he won't sell any vehicles. I take it back. This dealership turned off its charger because it's Sunday. So it's not a 24/7, and that's why it doesn't show up on PlugShare. That's just dumb. I would have just given them a bunch of money, but instead they get nothing. I wonder what their Chevy customers will think when they buy that Blazer and Equinox and come in here on a Sunday. Yeah. Today's proving to be a bit of a rough day. The GoPro just went for a flight, and this time it didn't escape unscathed. These insane winds just blasting me. I've had the noise cancellation on my audio all day. And it doesn't look that bad right now because I'm in this treed area, but I'll come out and I'll just get slammed. And I had one of those. Yeah, I took it right off, hit the pavement on its way to the ditch, and smashed the lens. Luckily, I have such a tight budget when I set out, but I thought, I bought a backup lens. I just thought, I better just, it's extra money I don't really have, but I'm going to buy one just in case, because I won't be able to buy anything on the road. Today's going to be a bit of a write-off because it's already 4:30. I was supposed to be in Digby at 1:30. You're not going to do a lot of touring in Nova Scotia with an EV because you won't have time. But I'm really worried now. The PlugShare rating is pretty good as far as reliability of most of these chargers. But critical places, there's some chargers that have horrible ratings, and there's nothing else. If the charger would have been down in Kentville, I would have been screwed. If the charger in Digby ahead of me is down, I'm screwed. If any one of these one charger units goes down, you can't go anywhere. You're done. Range warning just came on. Got 45 kilometers of extra range. So the charger's either on or off. If it's off, I stay in Digby tonight. It's just this all day. Let's go and charge up in Digby. You notice me being positive. They've got a whole bunch of Blazer and Equinox EVs. They've got a charge point, and it's turned off. There's a Ford dealership. Let's see what they got going on. They don't have any inventory. They don't have any EVs, and they don't have any chargers. Enjoy your bankruptcy. I think the only thing that we have in Digby is the flow charger. This will be our flow charger. Oh, there it is, standing alone out in the field. There's Teslas over here. There's more flows over here that didn't show up on my thing at all. Hold the phone, people. Things just went from bad to worse. Here's the second one. That's right. And these, not a single Tesla supercharger accepts NACS adapters. And you can't charge on these. But there's Sobeys. And over in that corner, I see a solitary charger. If it says out of service, I'm out of service. The level 2 next to it has lights. So if it's down, I can level 2 charge for 5 hours. It's not looking good. There's no lights on the buttons. Nothing. I press a button, see what happens. Oh, hold on. Hold the... is in sleep mode. $15 an hour. That is really cheap, actually. That works even at this speed. I should be able to fill up the vehicle for about $25. We ain't dead yet. We're charging people at 33 kilowatts at a 50 kilowatt. It's flow. So I'm either going to be eating at a grocery store over there, Sobeys, or I've got the wonderful option of crossing the street, going down over here, and eating at the Tim Hortons. I'm not kidding you. I'm going for the grocery store. Some good news for a change. Right over there, the ones that we couldn't use that were all offline, it's because they've just been installed. Most of them don't even show up in the Tesla app. The only flow that's showing up on both PlugShare and on Flow's own site is that one. It's a step in the right direction. We're seeing things being built, but the reality is it's still very few and far between, but something's happening. So I should give a lot of credit there. Maybe we'll see the same in the big dead zones that show up on the map. And if that's the case, then okay, well, it's not going to work out well for me, but it's going to work out well for Nova Scotia overall. Now it's off to Yarmouth, and I presume I'll be checking in my hotel around 10, 11 p.m. I was planning on being there at 4 p.m. So that kind of gives you an idea of how the day's gone. You'll notice that I don't have a lot of footage of Yarmouth in my stay here before heading to Halifax. I used the time to do a lot of film editing and trying to catch up, and also do surgery on my GoPro. There's a few nice things about Yarmouth, so let me give you kind of a recap. A shit pile of schools, a double shit pile of churches, and an inordinate number of graveyards. Their slogan on their sign should be Yarmouth, where all the dead people go. They have something in a maritime province that's very appealing to me. It's called seafood. They have 3 cafes, none of which serve Tim Hortons. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing against the churches. There seems to be a need for those because there's a lot of different, sects? I don't know, groups, tribes. There's the Lutheran United, Presbyterian, there's the Catholic, the Protestant, the Buddhists, the Taoists, the Muslims, Nerubians. No, they're aliens from Planet 10. There's the evangelicals, there's the Mormons, there's the Seventh-day Adventists, Hootie and Rudy and Tootie. And then I believe there's a Tootie, Fruity on Rudy. Tic-Tac-Toe and the Freebie-Deebie and the Boobaloos. I have no frickin' idea. So I guess somebody didn't like something. Someone said, well, no, he didn't drink out of the cup. He drank out of a flask. Well, we're going to make another church because we disagree with the cup flask thing. I don't know. They just keep making new ones. And there's another one over here, the Carvestian burn. I'd be burned at the stake here. Why can't we just all get along? Anyway, we're heading for Liverpool. I'm from Liverpool. I love playing in Liverpool. Not that Liverpool. We don't need to charge up there, but I managed to piss away, about 50, 60 kilometers. But on top of that, I don't want to get down to the point that I've already discovered of having absolutely no freaking range left. But we saw what's coming. Let's see if the South Shore has something like that happening. Because if that's happening, Nova Scotia is going to ace it, even though right now it sucks. I've burned away about, 30 or 40 more kilometers. I can't help myself, because one thing I love about Nova Scotia is all the tidal pools and all of the marshes. And there's this confluence, this coming together of fresh water and salt water all over the place. And they're full of herons and seabirds. Most of the homes here are from the 1800s. Some are from the 1700s. A lot of it's ship plank. A lot of the floors and the buildings were made out of old boats. The quaint little harbors everywhere. Like it's a photographer's paradise here because there's always a dory out of the water at low tide, leaning over with the barnacles. I just could spend the whole summer here just taking film and photographs. Every time I pass through a different community, every time I choose to go down a different road, I'm like, oh, I got to stop for that. Oh, I got to stop for that. And I go, yeah, okay, I got to get to my motel tonight. And I've got to stay on track to get home before we get hit with heavy snow and I'm in trouble. I'm here in Shelburne. The tide's just starting to go out. Most of the houses are late 1800s, early 1900s. Many of the yards have been preserved and turned into museums here, which is really cool. And you can see the lighthouse. I don't know if you can actually pick that up on so far out between that channel going out to the open sea. Nice little church, and all of these buildings here are all been restored, especially this one right here, because I love the name too. You know, the Boondocks. Well, this building right here is the Beandock Cafe. Sniff them out like a hound. You don't find many sand beaches like this in the world, and there's no one, just me. You can see the islands off the mainland. There's a lot of those, thousands of them. Here in Liverpool, approximately 155 kilometers from Halifax, we have one 50 kilowatt, very different. Haven't seen any major places where they're installing. I'm going to keep looking. This is where you can cut right across the center of the province, and you can go through a place called Kejimkujik National Park, but there's one. And then you've got a 350 plus kilometer drive to get from one charger to the other. A lot can change in 25 years. We came this way from Halifax, Chester, Mahone Bay, Lunenburg, so Peggy's Cove, we also did in there. We're gonna miss a lot of that. Lunenburg's famous, but I'm running out of time to get from Yarmouth to Halifax and then doing the Cape Breton Highlands. That's going to be a challenge. We're still 61 kilometers from our destination, which puts us at arrival time at 4:43. So yeah, it's going to be close to dark when I get into Halifax Harbor. I have to actually leave Halifax and drive 17 kilometers in rush hour traffic to get to one Electrify Canada station. The bad news inside Halifax, there's 6 dealerships, and every one of them but one, the Nissan one, had their fast charger plugged in and not charging. I'm not kidding. They just plugged them in and parked the vehicle in, and they're all close to close. It's 5:48 p.m. Nissan, where I was going to have to charge because I couldn't find anywhere else to charge, was open, was because I didn't see any Nissan Arias on their lot. So they didn't have anything to plug it in, I guess. They're the only means of charging a vehicle in the area, and overnight they plug their own inventory into the units and then don't put the chargers on. Wow. How do the people with the ID4s feel? To go to Volkswagen, buy an ID4, leave the dealership, and the dealership say, hey, we got a fast charger right here at Volkswagen for you. And then you come back at 6:15 at night and it's plugged into a dealership inventory Volkswagen ID4. So that makes Halifax a toilet. There's a Petro-Canada in the city that looks like most of the time it's broken. It lists itself as 350 or something. But according to all the notes on it, nobody gets more than 40 kilowatt charges out of it. And that's what we've got as the centerpiece of Halifax. And there's my hotel, bye-bye hotel. I've got to go 11 kilometers out of the city up some hill here. I don't even know where I'm going. Well, we've got all hypers here. So these are 350 kilowatt. We're seeing more of these develop, which is fantastic news to see so many. I can't charge that fast, but I'm charging at 180. It's quite expensive though, but you get the speed and you don't have to wait long. So the convenience, I'll take it, but you're only saving about 25% over the cost of regular gasoline. I'm gonna fill it right up to about 90% because I doubt I'll find anything else. And I've got to take one hell of a long journey tomorrow morning to get us up to the northern end of Nova Scotia. Woke up to -3 and a lot of frost on my truck, frost on the ground. It's a chilly one, but a clear one. And we're off to Sydney. We can't go up the South Shore. There are literally 0 chargers for 400 plus kilometers. Definite strike against to have nothing along that entire southern coast. Halifax has some serious issues if you're an EV owner here. Some of the most iconic spots, the Citadel. You look at Mount Pleasant Park, you look at these iconic places down the boardwalk. I found 2 spots with level 2 chargers in the whole downtown core. That's horrible. Even if you're going to walk around the city and you just want to plug in for the day, you're not going to do that. And everyone's lined up at them. Anyone with an EV here is desperately seeking out all of the chargers, which means I don't have time to take you down to the harbor front of Halifax, just like I didn't end up getting to Annapolis Valley because it was pitch black outside. Basically every single place that I've tried to get to, we're not going to see any of it, because if I tried to get you to see it, I'd be here for at least another 3 days. Your best bet if you visit Halifax, hotels. Mine, unfortunately, because it was the cheapest, seediest one you could find, didn't have anything. However, Holiday Express across the road did, Carrington Place did. There's about 6 or 7 hotels that all show up with level 2s at their locations. Are they free? I don't know. I don't think so. It is a nice thing when you get them courtesy, but they got them. So you stay overnight, you wake up, your truck's full or your car's full. So if you end up here in Halifax and you're panicking, get a room. You know what happens when you're stuck at these chargers for too long on these great long road trips, and there's only certain things nearby, and you just start to breach your own principles and your own rules. You start to buckle under pressure. In Nova Scotia, I will never forgive you. Never. The game plan is to go to a place called Sheet Harbor. and then from Sheet Harbor to Liscombe, and then I was going to go to Canso. Once I get to Canso, then I was going to go up along the coastline and then cross over onto Cape Breton Island. But there's no chargers on the Hawkesbury side or the Canso side, so I can't do it. We're going to do a hybrid trip. We're going to go as far as we physically can, which is to Liscombe, and then we're going to dogleg up, going from the south shore to the north shore over at Antigonish, where they have a charger. And if that charger's down, about 30, 40 kilometers away, there's another charger. And it leaves me with about 90 to 100 kilometers of cushion. What's really amazing about this drive already is I keep seeing all these lakes on both sides of the highway, and then realizing they're not lakes, they're inlets. You know how you pay a lot of money for waterfront? Nova Scotia is waterfront. Probably Nova Scotians are going, what's the big deal? I've gained about 15 pounds, I swear. I don't want to sit on a scale until I'm back home and I just hike for 2 weeks. I'm not going to look, because I've been sitting for 6 weeks. And then I get to the hotel and I sit and I do post-production. But I can understand how people can get overweight because they get so pressured to do things that they may not want to do. For example, Tim Hortons to get these Timbits, the donut holes. You know, they give you a box and you get 10, 20, 40, or they'll give you a bucket. So I go in there and I go, yeah, I'd just like to get 10. Oh, we got a special on the bucket. Well, how many in the bucket? Oh, like 100. I said, it's just me. But it's a good deal. It's bad enough that I'm eating these balls of sugar and fat. You just swell up like someone's got a bicycle pump up your ass. But the women of Nova Scotia that I've met so far, it's like this mothering thing going on, that you're not allowed to do anything that you'd like to do. Would you like another cup of coffee? No, thank you, I'm good. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. Well, you know, maybe you want to have another cup. No, I'm good. Can I put some cream in that for you? No, I don't take cream. You don't take cream. You should take cream in your coffee. They've lost their children at sea or something. You want to get fat fast? Come to Nova Scotia, because you're going to get fed. Oh, no, you don't want one piece of fish. You want 2 pieces. They're battered. You get a better deal. If you have 1 piece of fish, $12.99. You get 2 pieces of fish, it's $15.99. You're only paying an extra $3 for that other piece of fish. Yeah, but I only want 1 piece of fish. No, you want 2 pieces of fish. And I'll bring you extra tartar sauce. I don't eat tartar sauce. Yes, you do. What's with the lobster thing? Oh, lobster. You can have lobster thermidor. You can have lobster troubadour, commodore. You can have lobster front door, lobster back door. That comes with extra side. If we take a good close look at a lobster, it's a 2-foot freaking insect. Other food, they dress it up and try to hide the fact that they killed something. They just take the whole damn thing and just throw it on your plate next to your mashed potatoes. They go, would you like a fork with that? No, I'd like a power drill and a jackhammer. They walk up to you on the street. Hey, you'd like a lobster on a stick? It's like walking up and saying, hey, you want a cockroach on a toothpick? I don't really want to know what my food looks like all the time. And don't say, well, you should know where your food comes from. I know where it comes from. I mean, I'd like you to try that out in, Whole Foods or Walmart. The poultry section, just have chickens and just start chopping their heads off and rip the feathers off. That's fresh. I'm so glad I took this alternate way up to Antigonish. Of course, that's probably Antigonish or Antigonish, Antipesto, Antipasta? I don't know. In fact, I'm liking this more than going down to Lunenburg and Peggy's Cove and all of that, or the Annapolis Royale, because it's become so busy and so popular and so tourist-oriented, and it's got covered in condos and everything else. I shouldn't even be talking about this. This place sucks. You should never come here. It's absolute garbage. You don't waste your time. You'll never make it in your EV. We've made it to Sheet Harbor, and I've only pissed away 40 kilometers of range going down Backroads. That's not bad. I'm doing better. What's the likelihood that I'm going to be able to find some food? Because it's 1 o'clock and I don't want to wait for my lunch to have it at like 3. So I'm going to try to find something. Don't say it. And I've already seen one. Don't you dare. There's a liquor store, drugstore. There's the cops. There's a Memorial Hospital, a thrift store. There's an Esso. No chargers. Hold on. We got a motel. The Slippery Oyster. That sounds promising. But they don't have oysters. I bet. Maybe we should see what else they got in town here. Maybe they got like the slimy cod. You know what? Let's ask Google. Show me the restaurants in Sheet Harbor.
There's the Slippery Oyster licensed restaurant 0.2 kilometers away. Want to navigate there?
Is there anything else?
That was all the items on the list.
She doesn't mean to be funny, but she can be quite funny. I've passed through 20 plus communities already, and there's not even a level 2. The good news is there's one in Antigonish. The bad news is the one charger is, I believe, an auto dealership. If Halifax was any indication, where 5 out of 7 this morning were occupied, this could be an issue. You pull it up on PlugShare and you see these big, huge holes. and that's unfortunate, but it's what we got to work with. I'm looking at the absolute gorgeous coastline and beach, and this harbor seals or walruses or something over there. I want to film that. I want to drone lessons. But then think about how long my trips are going to take. Yeah, honey, I'm going to go film Newfoundland Labrador in the early summer. Oh, okay, honey. So how long need to be? 7 years. I mean, I just can't help myself. I keep pulling off the side of the road. This is where I'm at. There's some ungulate. I don't know if it's an elk or a moose or a deer or whatever. It's way on the far shore. This is draining out here, pushing back out to the ocean, and obviously the tide's going out. We've left Liscombe on the southeast shore. We've followed the Sherbrooke, I believe it's the Sherbrooke River, and we head up over the spine, heading from the southeast shore, doglegging over, slowly heading north-northeast, and we'll end up in Antigonish on the northeast shore. And from there, we're gonna make a beeline, trying to get over to Sydney on Cape Breton Island. Again, in the dark. We've arrived in Antigonish. Of note to my trucked up guys and gals, both Canadian and American, if you decide to come up here from Maine, or you decide to come across from Quebec or New Brunswick, no problem at all as far as range, as long as you can go around 300, you know, in adverse conditions, winter conditions, you can drive 300 kilometers, around 200 miles. Couple of things though, about 180 kilometers of the trip, no cell signal, no internet, no mapping, no nothing. We're going to be here for a while. This is going to determine whether or not I got to make an extra stop. I'm hoping I don't have to. It's already 3:45. I'm thinking 4:45 for the charge, and then just bang, start going across Cape Breton Island. Thank you, Ron McGilvery, for installing this. They're smart. They've got a reason to, because you see these right here, Chevy Blazer EV, Chevy Blazer EV, the Equinox right here. Over there's a Hummer, and if I'm right, we're gonna go take a look, but I think they might even have a Silverado EV here. Yes, it is. It is the Silverado EV 3WT. So it's the lowest trim, the work truck version. So the bare bones, smaller battery. We've got the Hummer, the Beast, right next to it. Of course, this is the SUV. That is a beautiful truck with incredible range and tons of torque and horsepower, great towing capability. Its tow hitch is attached to a solid frame, unlike some that are attaching it to aluminum castings. Not so good. Just keep in mind, as far as hauling, it does not have a big payload. It also does not have the drop down midgate. In the WT3 and 4, the only ones you can get that in, the LT Premium, I believe, and the RST. But I love these trucks. Really want to get my hands on the LT or the RST. Think about this. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 EVs. One of them has a 240 kilowatt hour battery. Do you know how long that takes to charge on a 50 kilowatt? A while. They have to keep these things ready for customers to drive, and they've got one 50 kilowatt unit. You can see the challenge. I must be near some farm. Somebody's just spread their manure. Holy crap, my eyes are watering. But I'm gonna get in the vehicle. It's a little cold. Get some work done before we hit the road. I stayed at that dealership for only 30 minutes. There's another one on the way. I'm gonna grab another 30 minutes. At least I'm moving. The bad news is the cheapest hotel I could find isn't actually in Sydney, which means I'm staying overnight without a charge in the cold, because I'm pretty sure they don't have any level 2s there. That puts me in a position where I really need to jack it up a little bit more. I currently have 218 kilometers of range, and I've got to get 150 kilometers there, but then I've got to recharge, and I have nowhere to charge. I have to drive into Sydney the following morning. It's bad. Plan B. I'm at the Flow charger that I was going to use as a halfway point to get up to Sydney, the hotel that's not actually Sydney. The problem is there's another vehicle using the one and only DC fast charger, and he needs to get every ounce he can to get to Sydney proper. So he has to stay here for 30 more minutes, which means I have to wait 30 minutes before he's done, before I can take 30 minutes. So in the meantime, I've plugged into the little level 2. So that's going to slow things down. I did talk to the hotel, and they're telling me that they have nothing.
But they'll let me use a 110 outlet, so I'll plug my truck in, which will charge about half or less the speed of what this is doing, but that'll give me a little bit of a boost to get to Sydney. Then when I decide to do the Cabot Trail, I've got to go to Bedeck, which is 40-50 kilometers away from that. And then I have to sit there for 2 hours or an hour and a half to get up to 100% to do the entire Cabot Trail and back to Bedeck again, which people told me, well, you can't do that. Like, you have to have like a Silverado or a Lucid to do that. You won't do that with a Lightning. You know what I do when people tell me what I can't do with my Lightning. I was rudely awakened by a cleaning staff accidentally walking into my room at 5:30 this morning, thinking I was in another room. So that was a nice little rude wake-up call. But nice place. They let me just hook up to the wall here just to trickle charge my vehicle overnight to keep the batteries nice and warm and to wake up to a warm truck. And good news is it looks like Louisbourg is still open. We're going to go enjoy whatever we can make of our rainy day and check out Louisbourg.
Some more bad news here in Sydney. There's 2 chargers. That's it. For Sydney and North Sydney. And these are not small regions. There's about 17 kilometers or 10 and a half miles between North Sydney and Sydney. And there's 1 charger in each location. The main area, Sydney, with a larger population, has 1. And this is the problem when you have something that's not under utility provider. It's done through a private network and their business isn't charging. Their business is selling something else where the charger might be an ancillary benefit or it's a requirement for them to sell something. So for dealerships, you get this very fluctuating rate with them. This one out here, they have a 3 out of 10 rating on PlugShare. It sounds like for good reason. Number one, the thing doesn't work very often. I'm driving an extra 17 kilometers. I'm only got 100 kilometers of range, so I'm going to be down to in the 80s by the time I get to the charger. Then I'm going to sit there for an hour and a half because it's a 50 kilowatt. This is where things go down the toilet really fast, is when a company that's trying to sell EVs then tries to profiteer off of their own clients by charging insane rates because they're the only game in town. And I won't support something like that, so I've driven up the road. It's a famous spot right here. Way off in the distance, you can just see the Louisbourg lighthouse. The siege of Louisbourg changed the direction of the war. The French held it long enough to basically postpone the invasion of Quebec. And 2 prominent people led the charge and the siege against the French. General Wolfe, who died on the plains of Abraham when his forces successfully took Quebec City. A year earlier, he took this. And another name that many know, James Cook, the famous explorer. He was an admiral, and he sailed his navy into the harbor once they'd set all the ships aflame. And where I'm standing right now is the old, there's basically a bastion down here, the ruins. You can actually see the turret points. One's right there, and the other is that mound way down over there. This is the battery. They had mortars lined up in a fortress wall all down here, so any ships that sailed in, they just pummeled the hell out of them. Very few Canadians know the size and the magnitude of what we have here. The fields around me is a former city. Also, as we go through the fort, they've done some modernization of the structure by providing free level 2 fast chargers, both Tesla, NACS, and CCS for free. That's the way to do it. In 1745 was the first siege. And they held on for 7.5 weeks. That's exactly what's expected, was to hold for that period of time. And then, of course, the Navy was supposed to sail in and replenish them and take back the harbor. But the British Navy was far superior. And eventually they had to put up the white flag. And they surrendered it. So why did they end up with it again? Because of treaties. So there was a treaty signed in York, I believe it was. And part of that treaty was to get the land back. And the French did. And then less than a decade, well, actually a little over a decade later, they went at it again. But this time, the French held to the bitter end. They refused to surrender, and the British barely got it. The French always employed the best lawnmowers. Locals. And these are the kind of things you can come and see in your EV in Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia has a lot to offer. I mean, people don't realize, I think in Canada, how epic so many parts of Nova Scotia are. You know, Port Royal, 1605, the arrival of Champlain and establishing the first permanent fort through the winters. They seem to be behind so many other provinces. But there's an effort, it seems, recently to catch up. Think about it, the Cabot Trail, the most scenic drive in the world. This, UNESCO World Heritage Site, something of just epic proportion, where the entire thing, the bastion, the walls, a quarter of the entire city's been restored. And 1 in 5 Canadians are driving an electric vehicle. The fortress got it, right? You come up in your Tesla, come up in your non-Tesla, plug in, charge, and enjoy this place for the day and leave with a full car or full truck. But it opens up a tourist market and travelers who really want to come here. Nova Scotia is a door just ready to open wide and let the world come and visit this. And so it comes to an end, our trip across Cape Breton, because of this. We're not going on the Cabot Trail, the most epic trail, one of the most scenic drives in the world. This is the only other working one on Cape Breton Island, and it just faulted out. I've been on the phone with Flo. I'm sorry, we can't fix it. So it's a done deal. I've canceled my hotel here in Badek. The plan, of course, was to do the Cabot Trail from this charger, go all the way, come back to this point, stay at the hotel, charge, and head back. We can't do any of it. I mean, it's unbelievable that one of the most world famous places to travel is unavailable to anybody with an electric vehicle. And that's even if this is running, because it's touch and go. You're doing it over very heavy stuff. When I calculate it in, I'm pushing it. And I have a truck that has an EPA of 515 kilometers or 320 miles. According to some sources, Cabot Trail, there are level 2s. So if you decided to take a holiday, you could plan it by stopping at a national park. The national park areas that I found the level 2s are closed. So there's a gate up and you can't get into them. Not only can we not do Cabot Trail, but we can't do the entire north shore of Cape Breton. The plan for me was, once I charged up in Badek after getting back from doing Cabot, I was going to take the north shore all the way down to the point that I'm at. Instead, I have to beeline it. I've got more than enough charge. My truck's got great range, so I'm going to be okay as far as getting back on the mainland. It's only 65, 70 kilometers from where I'm at right now, and I've got well over 200 kilometers of range. Thank goodness. Cape Breton Island is a massive part of Nova Scotia. I mean, I was hard on Manitoba for its challenges. I really liked Saskatchewan and what they were doing, but the connective nature of the waypoints is just too few and far between, and that's why they didn't get the trucked up stamp. But these are large land masses that have to put in a lot more infrastructure for a population that is greater, but not much greater than what we're seeing in Nova Scotia. As far as land mass is concerned, much, much greater than Nova Scotia in its entirety. You know, you've got this beautiful province. You want to actually do your part in making sure that 1 out of every 5 vehicles can actually drive where they're going. I don't know. Looks like kind of a joke. And that's not coming from me, that's coming from Nova Scotians. At the broken charger, this great guy came over in his Chevy, beautiful pickup truck. I think it was diesel. He said he's got a landscape and garden company, which was hilarious because that's what I formerly had. And they've switched out over all their tools and they've saved tons of money getting all of their equipment, their lawnmowers, their weed eaters, and all those things switched over to electric. And he is very interested in looking into this himself. And while I was talking to him, he was shaking his head about Nova Scotia Power. Everybody that I talk to in Nova Scotia shakes their head about Nova Scotia Power. So it's not exactly winning over the locals. And it sure in the hell isn't winning over the country as far as electrification of the highways. And on that note, I can make my ruling very quickly here. It's a no-go for Nova Scotia. It looked like there was hope. Down the southern portion of the province heading toward Maine, there's a new network being put in. It sucks now, but it won't soon. That's a great step. Then I get to Halifax, and then there's Cape Breton, which is a disaster. The people are amazing. The culture is welcoming. The attitude is tough as nails. There's good folk here in Cape Breton. And I had nothing but positive experiences with the people. Shame on you, Nova Scotia Power, for having nothing in Sydney. Shame on you for having nothing along the entire Cabot Trail. Shame on you for having nothing along the entire north shore of Cape Breton Island. The only reason that I can do the whole province is because it's small. They're now in the running for the worst in the country. Sorry, Nova Scotia. I love you. I'd love to move here. I love everything about this province, but I sure in the hell don't love your quote-unquote electric highway. If you like this content, if you like what I'm doing, as you know from many of my videos, I am working day and night to bring you content that I hope you find valuable. I'm trying everything I can to expand this channel in a way that's helpful to others, entertaining for everyone who's watching. If you think that's good to figure out more about electric trucks, the good, the bad, and the ugly, please like, subscribe, and click that bell notification icon, because you're making a difference for what I'm doing. And I want to thank you so deeply for that. 80% of people who watch this channel still don't click like or subscribe, and they come back. Again, I just want to thank you so much, especially for watching. We'll talk to you soon.